What's up, everybody? So, we have another casting update, a new co-lead for an upcoming mystery thriller. We finally have a full official trailer for the Dexter prequel, sequel, TV series coming out. And it seems like the more Alien Romulus news we get, there's always something changing. So, let's get into it. So, Croatoan Miles Mussenden to co-lead thriller exploring supernatural legend. So we have what appears to be an upcoming mystery thriller called Croatoan. So let's get into these details here. Doom Patrol and Cloak and Dagger actor Miles Mussenden is set to co-lead alongside Britt Bankhead in mystery thriller Croatoan. Variety reports today the thriller also makes the featured directorial debut by Bankhead. Nico Terozzi, Grace Patterson, and Mike Markoff are also going to star in this upcoming mystery thriller. So it looks like we have some quotes down here that we'll run through real quick, see if it gives us a better idea of what this film is going to be about. Mussenden stars as a father whose family road trip leads him to a desolate small town after his son disappears. Bankhead's character resorts to teaming with two detectives and parsing the community's oddballs to investigate the local supernatural legend of Croatoan. While that long line offers the only plot details revealed at this time, the film's title brings the historical lost colony to mind. It refers to the Roanoke colony established in 1585, which seemingly disappeared without a trace when a ship arrived in 1590 to find the colony abandoned with only the cryptic word Croatoan carved into a tree. More than 100 English colonists had disappeared to an unknown fate, and the lack of answers has inspired no shortage of theories in the centuries since, especially by the paranormal activity. So we get, so just get the more information in this article just kind of covers off on. If you've seen, we've mentioned on this show before, and if you haven't checked it out yet, it's American Horror Story. There's a Roanoke aspect or season to that overall TV series. You can check that out on Hulu. I believe Hulu has all the available seasons up to date, plus the spin-off series as well, American Horror Stories. This article just goes on to just talk a little bit more about who's co-writing it, who's involved in it. As I keep saying, and I will continue to say, I am glad that we are seeing more and more horror films coming up that are in the works, especially coming into 2025 as we close out 2024. While we do not have a date for this one yet, this isn't something we've seen. If it follows the mythology that we just briefly touched on a little bit, if it plays off of that, I think that'd be a great take. Again, we haven't seen something like this recently, so I'm all for, as I've said, fresh ideas, new franchises, new IPs. I think we're at a point now where the horror genre, especially this year, has started to expand out a bit outside the normal franchises that we're used to seeing sequels and prequels off of, which again though leads us into our next topic, which is the Dexter Original Sin. I don't want to call it a spin-off series. It's not a spin-off, but we have a new trailer for the Dexter Original Sin, which is a prequel. It's supposed to follow the journey of Dexter Morgan when he was younger, coming up to, depending upon when it might end, the show might end, where the original Dexter series picks up. I'd imagine there'll probably be obviously a time jump there, but it would be interesting if they somehow, however long this show is supposed to go, as we see here. If we get into the details, Paramount Global has dropped a new trailer for Dexter Original Sin, a prequel series which follows young Dexter as he transitions from student to the serial killer we know and love. The release of the 10-episode series also isn't too far off, with the premiere slated to drop on Paramount Plus with Showtime on December 13th, followed by a Showtime debut on December 15th. So we are just 2.5 weeks away, give or take, for this series. Now, I'm not sure. It doesn't say here. Let's finish off the details, then we'll go into my perspective. The official synopsis for the prequel series reads: set in 1991 Miami, Dexter original sin follows Dexter as he transitions from student to avenging serial killer. With his bloodthirsty urges can't be ignored any longer, Dexter must learn to channel his inner darkness with the guidance of his father Harry, who's played by Christian Slater. For those who don't know, he adopts a code designed to help find and kill people who deserve to be eliminated from society without getting on law enforcement's radar. This is particular challenge for young Dexter as he begins a forensic internship at the Miami Metro Police Department. So we're going to stop there because then it just goes on to talk about cast, and that's where the article cuts off. So we don't have an idea if this is a limited series run, if this is just going to be season 1. We do know once the original Dexter show ended, they did try to come back and do a show, later on with Michael Hall. Didn't last long, if I recall. It only lasted 1 season, and it was okay. It wasn't great. It wasn't anything compared to the original series, but even the original series I felt ended on a sour note for me, especially the last season. It's not how you wanted to see the finale go, but nonetheless, that's what we got. Now, again, not knowing if this is a limited run, or if they're projecting, hey, we'll see how this one goes and be open to a season 2. But we know we're getting 10 episodes, and I'm not familiar with Paramount Plus, if it's an all drop on one day or if it's a weekly drop. If it's an all drop on one day, either way, we're going to be checking the show out and give you our thoughts on it. I was a fan of the original series. Again, wasn't a fan of how the show ended. But nonetheless, still a fan of the original series. So let's check out the trailer and see what we got.
Have inside of you. It needs a master.
It really is like they say. Your life flashes before your eyes. In the beginning, there was blood, and a code I learned from my father.
The code is to make sure you are different from the people that you kill.
It was simple: kill the bad guys who escape justice. And don't get caught myself.
If anyone knows how powerful urges can be, it's me.
Trust me, you stay the course, you'll be fine.
Well, Dex, homicide looks good on you.
Couldn't agree more.
Detective Batista.
Where's my desk?
Photograph the entire scene. Spatter matters.
It's starting to look like a serial killer art project up in here.
So I got myself a job.
Welcome to Miami Metro. The first day of the rest of your life.
Hopefully you're not a chip off the old block.
One that brought the blood to me, while honing my skills with help from the people around me.
You gotta blend in. One wrong move, you ruin your life, your sister's, mine.
This is who I am. Who I need to be.
Learning my code was just the beginning. Bringing it to life for the first time is a whole new story.
Dexter, Original Sin. New series streaming December 13th on the Paramount Plus with Showtime plan.
So, pretty interesting. I think it takes place in 91. It almost felt like though it had a bit of still of an 80s vibe to it. We can confirm just, from that trailer, Harry, played by Christian Slater, looks like he's still a detective. We saw him at a desk. Now we did also get to see younger versions of some of the other characters that we know from the original series. Obviously, Deborah Morgan was going to be in there, who was originally played by Jennifer Carpenter. We saw a young version of Angel Batista and Maria LaGuerta. We saw a younger version of her, and also I saw briefly a younger version of Vince Masuka, who also did the forensics with Dexter in the original series. And I think it ended off showing us that we can expect that Michael C. Hall will be doing the talkover for the episodes, or probably throughout the episodes. So obviously his involvement is still there. Now, again, whether or not whenever this show ends, if it's a 10 episode run, if it ends where season 1 of the original show picks up, I mean, we'll find out. But either way, I think it looks good. It's going to show us if he's going as an intern, showing us how he's already starting to hone his skills as far as making sure how to keep the police off of his trail as he's finding victims. Now, it'll be interesting to see if some of the victims that are being, like those cases that are being worked on, if they are victims of Dexter, because we know in the original series, the vast majority up until the storyline of the Bay Harbor Butcher what came about, all of his victims were tossed in the bay, and his idea was that the current would sweep them off into the ocean where he was dumping the bodies. We know that didn't happen, hence the Bay Harbor Butcher storyline, but then eventually he changed that up. So more to come on this one, and we will like I said, we'll be checking out this series here in 2.5 weeks and giving our thoughts and our review on it. So more to come. So our last story for today is another update on what's going on with Alien, from the fallout, so to speak, from Alien Romulus. So why Fede Alvarez is being cautious about an Alien Romulus sequel. Quote, "That's always a recipe for disaster." So as we know, when Alien Romulus dropped, it was very popular, got a lot of praise from fans, and it was soon after news broke that it was being greenlit for a sequel. But it seems like with each passing day, something else comes up about Alien Romulus, whether it's the time, where, not so much where does it fall in the timeline, but how does it fall in the timeline when compared to the upcoming Alien Earth TV series coming through Hulu, and then the sequel. Is it happening? Is it not happening? So let's get into these details here. Alien Romulus director Fede Alvarez is being cautious when it comes to talk of a sequel. Romulus was released in theaters on August 16th, 2024, going on to gross $350 million worldwide, including $40 million on IMAX screens. Critics were largely positive in their reviews of Alvarez's Alien sequel, as reflected in the movie's 80% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Side note, we don't care about those ratings, whether it's Rotten Tomatoes or not. You either like the movie or if you don't like the movie. So we don't necessarily care what critics say here. Whether Alien Romulus gets a sequel itself is yet to be determined, but Alvarez thinks it will happen, though. He is being cautious when it comes to speculation about making another film in the Alien universe. So let's get into this quote here. We definitely want to do it. The studio wants to do it. I want to do it. I think with sequels, it's always about finding the right story. Me and Rodo, my co-writer, we have some ideas, but it's not until we find something that we go, okay, that is a movie worth making, that we really embark on it. So that's the process we are in right now, trying to find a story that is worthy of everyone's time and is worthy of the title. Otherwise, you never want to fall into the mistake of making a sequel just because the first one is a big hit. Making a sequel just because you can make it, that's always a recipe for disaster. We have some images here from Alien Romulus. It goes on to talk about the sequel itself, when it came out, who did it come out by. We have another quote here from the director. He mentioned that the studio has yet to strike a deal with Alvarez, which is Rain and Andy will be back. Rain and Andy will be back for another movie if there is another movie, but said that the director has an idea for how to continue the story. Quote, "The two survivors, Rain and Andy, played by Callie and David, were real highlights of the film, and so I always think of it like, wow, where do people want to see them go next? We know there's going to be aliens. We know there's going to be great horror set pieces, but I fell in love with both of them, and I want to see what their story is." So. Again, goes on. I'll put the link for this article in the description of this video, and here we have just a quick breakdown of the Alien franchise, the core franchise. We're not including, as you can see here, Alien versus Predator, either one of those two films, which I think are just absolute trash in my opinion. But again, you can see here just the breakdown of when the films were released and their box office results. And as many of you know, this is not the true timeline of events when you look at it from that perspective, just theatrical release. And then the Alien Romulus details. So let's go back. I do agree. I just want to touch on, before we close it out for today, I want to touch on the original quote that he makes here, the director. Just because the first one is a big hit, making a second making a sequel just because you can make it. That's always a recipe for disaster. I agree. Just because you can make a sequel doesn't mean you need to make a sequel. Just because you can doesn't necessarily need to call for. Sometimes films are a one and done film can be just as great on its own versus trying to push a story. Now, I know that there are plenty of films where the first one does great, the second one is just absolutely, it bombs, it's trash, and for whatever reason, whether that's the script, whether that's the change in tone and pace, or you try to bring back the same characters, you have different actors and actresses playing it, something tends not to work out. So, however, I do think, as I've always said and will continue to say, I think it's very subjective of what sequel or what any film is, whether it's good or not. Don't listen to critics. Don't listen to other people. Go watch a movie. Go watch a TV series for yourself. Form your own opinion of it, because someone may think something's horrible and you may like it. And I'll give a prime example, and this is an example I've given multitude of times, and it will always be an example I will give. I love Joker 2019. I love Joker Folie à Deux. Are there some aspects of Joker Folie à Deux that I would have liked to have seen differently? Absolutely. But I still love the film. I love both films, and many people will say they love the first film and hate the second one. The second one's trash. And I've even heard people say that after seeing the second one, they hate now the first one. So it's all subjective. Like what you like, love what you love. So, all right, everyone. That's going to do it for today's episode. I just want to say thank you for spending a few moments of your day with me here at Reign of Horror. If you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment in the comment section letting us know what you think about today's topics and if there is something you would like to see us cover in the future. Otherwise, we will see you at the next one. Peace.